All right, let me give you my explanation. But I just read loading up on bread inside your worm bin is not a good idea. Also, putting red wigglers in your compost pile is not a good idea. Let's go over it with my thoughts. Now there's 5 holes in the bottom of this barrel right here. So when this right here, when I want to get some water out of it, if it's dry, I actually dig a hole in the middle right here, and then I grab fish tank water and I pour fish tank water in here and leave it there overnight. And then I haven't done that in a while though, but then you get your worm tea. So you use your cup and you put your worm tea in it. Don't fill it up all the way, something like that. That's half and half. Then you fill the other half up with water and you give it to your plants. I use the same cup to take the fish tank water to pour it in the worm bin. It would be better to use rainwater, but I'm just doing this for the video. Now it's ready to give your plants. The nutrients in this right here is the same nutrients that your worms would come from the ground. I don't know if you know.
Hi.
Hello! I don't know if you know, but the food you eat, the food you eat has cow manure in it, and that's what you eat. This right here has actually fish and worm poop in it, and that's what I feed. I don't feed, okay, let me get this straight. The food right here that needs to grow needs the most nutrients. This doesn't need nutrients. The young stuff needs nutrients. So the dirt I pack with as much nutrients as I can when the plants are small, and then when they start to fruit, I just let the dirt basically ride out the nutrients and just add water. See, I just add water. When they're starting to fruit, I just add water. These right here do not need no nutrients. Those right there need nutrients. These right here, look at, this started to bolt because of the heat. Look how young this lettuce is, and it started to bolt because it's still too warm. So what I do is, these are the seeds, so you just bend this over and you put more seeds in here. Baby spinach right here needs more nutrients. So it depends on what you're doing and where I'm putting nutrients. I would rather put organic nutrients in all my stuff than store-bought chemical nutrients. Look at this. This is an arugula right here. You know what would love this arugula besides my worms? A chicken. Honey, are you listening to me? All right, let me give you my explanation. But I just read loading up on bread inside your worm bin is not a good idea. Also, putting red wigglers in your compost pile is not a good idea. Let's go over it with my thoughts. I do know a compost pile outside, if you just have compost, stinks. It really does smell. When you open this up, you have a smell that comes out of it. But if it's closed, it doesn't really smell at all. Now in my basement, the big blue container I got is red wiggler worms, but they are all, it's propagated. I mean, it's chugging along. It's so my worms down there, if you have grass clippings like this, I dry them out. I just leave them in the plastic bag like that, and I leave it there, and it'll flatten out and it'll turn brown. And then that's what you break up like hay to put on your worm pile, and the worms will eat it and break it down, and the microbes and everything will break it down pretty fast if it's really propagated well. Now this, I'm gonna see how long this is gonna take. This is maybe about 3 days old, but I just put new clippings on the top and I've been rotating it. But this does have a little odor compared to the one in the house. The one in my house doesn't have any odor. It's just red wigglers and cool dirt just chugging along, having a good time. But I did put a lot of bread, and I just read that if you put that much bread, it'll mold before the worms can eat it, and yada yada yada. If that bread fell in this ground right here, it'll turn into raw nutrients just like this right here. And also bread's processed. They say feed it organic. these worms and breaking down. I started my worm bin. True story. You know, they throw the free newspapers on your front porch free. I grabbed all those. I soaked them in a 5-gallon bucket, shredded it, and that's what I started my worm bin with. I have, it's not whole 55 gallons because it's not filled up, but it breaks it down. But it's propagated. I'd measure say 55-gallon drum, 1/4 of a 55-gallon drum full of solid night crawlers I have chugging along. So I did put some night crawlers in here because they're castings. In my eyes, they're castings and they eat grass, but they say fresh grass has too much nitrogen for the worms. I personally think it breaks down faster. Follow along, and in about a month we're gonna take this apart and see if I got worms living in there. All right, here you go, the rest of the video. Oh no, I put bread and fresh grass with leaves in a composting bin, or a red wiggler bin. Okay, so here is the compost tumbler. I opened up the top and these things smell. I would not prefer this. I'd actually prefer to use this indoors with red wigglers. I'm gonna take you downstairs. Also, there's a bee on my hand right here. I don't like hitting bees, but that one I did hit. Okay, so this right here, I would prefer this to be indoors with red wigglers than to use it as a regular composter, because regular composters do smell, and there are no night crawlers playing on the top. I haven't rolled it yet, so I'm gonna roll it right now. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so there's my mixed compost. All right, now let's go look at the basement with the propagated night crawlers. Okay, now this is the worm bin. This is propagated with worms. Look at all them moving around. All them moving around. And this one does not smell at all. This one does not smell at all. You do still get some heat. Remember, I put the hot dog buns in there. The hot dog buns are being eaten. This whole top of this bin is alive with worms. You've seen them crawling all around when the light hit it. These guys, look at. And this one does not smell at all. And how I mix this, I gotta finish this door. See, I put the door right here. I gotta cut it right here and put the hinges and a good lock right here so I can just open this up. And I use my small shovel. And I take from the bottom and put on the top. Take from the bottom and I keep rotating it that way. But look, there's a worm right there. I mean, they're on top. They're loving it. They're living their best life. And that is fresh grass that I just mixed in there. Now, you do have to keep kind of mixing it, because if you don't mix it, that's bad. It gets stagnant. You have to keep mixing it around. Check on the worm tea. Take some of this, mix it with water, a little bit of this in water, and you're good to go. I'm gonna start canning this and mixing it with water, with fish tank water. I'm gonna put this and I'm gonna start putting it in jars so I could use it. This is the worm tea mixed with fish tank water, and then this is what you feed your plants. Works miracles. This is the water I use from my wife's koi tank. That's the biggest koi we got. This is a 125. So you see we got the algae and the filters. I leave that like that because that filters it better than just the carbon alone. Okay, but this is the water. I just take it from the top right here, and this is what I make the worm tea out of. I pour this in the top of it to drip out the bottom, and then you got to mix the worm tea because it's too strong. So I take it from the top of this again, and I put like half and half in a jar. All right, this is also some of the tea I take. I open this up right here. This is another 125. Yeah, I gotta clean the, it got a lot of algae on it. That's all that is algae. But this is the crayfish tank. All this is marble crayfish right here. Some people love eating crayfish. My wife likes watching them have their little babies, and their little babies come around here. All right, but this is the water that we use for the compost bin and for the worm tea. It's my wife's big honker. He eats so much stuff.